Today, we're here to talk about the 4 challenges to growing your e-commerce business and how to solve them. And today's webinar is presented by KeepingCount and Shopline. Today, we are going to walk through the 4 challenges to e-commerce growth. We're going to dive into what those challenges really mean to your business, what you can do to improve on each of those aspects to drive success, and how Shopline and KeepingCount fit into that picture. We will have a Q&A at the end of the session, but feel free to submit your questions for the speakers at any time using the Q&A feature. And if you need to drop off, we will be recording this webinar, so we'll send out that recording to you once we have it ready. Without further ado, I will introduce our speakers. So Song Pettis is the Managing Director and Corporate Development Expert at KeepingCount, and Chris Yang is the Managing Director and Co-President of Shopline. But I'll give them a chance to introduce themselves a little bit further.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and good afternoon to those on the East Coast there. First off, thank you so much for joining, and for those who are listening in after and reviewing the webinar, I really appreciate your time and looking here. We're excited to dive into it. KeepingCount, we provide comprehensive bookkeeping, accounting, and financial services for a few different industries, but consumer brands being a really big pillar of ours and the topic of our conversation today. So I'm happy to dive into that, and I'll pass it over to Chris so that he can give you his background in Shopline.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris, Managing Director and Co-President at Shopline. I'm very honored to be here today as an invited guest to share insights on how Shopline, our building CDP product, is helping merchants addressing critical challenges in today's e-commerce landscape. So currently, as the global co-president at Shopline, I focus on helping merchants scale their e-commerce business and deliver hyper-personalized customer experiences. So today, I'm very excited to talk about how Shopline's native CDP can help businesses like yours streamline customer engagement and grow more efficiently. Again, thank you for having me, and I look forward to sharing more insights with you today.
Thank you. All right, we're going to kick things off.
Yeah. So I think something that we've done in the past that's helped to kind of level set the conversation as we tackle the e-commerce industry is just providing a quick snapshot on what's going on. From both KeepingCount's perspective and Shopline, we are living this in it day in, day out with our wonderful customers. And it's always important to kind of get a snapshot and step back and see what's going on. Some of the more recent industry trends going on is really trifold here. You're dealing with rising customer acquisition cost, which is the biggest challenge I think a lot of e-commerce brands are facing in this market today. The days of really cheap customer acquisition costs of 2020 and 2021 is really behind us, and we've seen on average that CAC has increased about 60% in the past 5 years, especially ones that's coming from Facebook and Google search ads. And then most companies are actually not realizing this at the time, but upon looking at the data in retrospect, they're actually losing about almost $30 per new customer. So there are some challenges that everybody is facing, and there are obviously great strategies in place that could be used to tackle that issue. But some of the further breakouts there, as you see, apparels you see in about $130, apparel and beauty you see in about $130 for the cost of a new customer, while consumer electronics is almost 3 times that at $377. A second trend that we're seeing is just, as we're all getting spoiled by the Amazon market and the Amazon services, we really need that desire and that ability to return. And now we're seeing anywhere between 20 to 30% of products bought through D2C is being returned on average. And that has profound cost implications. From what we've seen in our client base is that for every $1 million generated in sales, they're losing about $75,000 in return. And that might not seem like a lot, but when you really put that into retrospect, that's the cost of one employee on average. So, given how lean e-commerce businesses have to really operate, these types of implications are ones where you really do need to focus on some of these underlying trends, because they can really have downward effects on your business or significant resources for you to save 75, 80K a year and hire those additional resources that you need. And then last but not least, not surprisingly, apparel represents the highest return rate within the e-commerce industry. And that's primarily just due to the wrong sizes. So it's an interesting realization in terms of what's going on there. And then lastly, one additional industry trend that we're seeing is the cost of operational and fulfillment is just increasing. Warehousing costs have increased nearly 20% in 2023, largely due to the higher increases in fuel costs. And then similarly, shipping has increased about 15% in the same time frame. And then while the labor shortages have improved a little bit, we're still at very seasonally low unemployment rate, about 4.2%, which again makes it really difficult for the e-commerce brands to hire the critical labor. But at the same time, the 3PL providers are battling the same issues that does cause delay in delivery, and more importantly, it adds to the shipping cost. So again, there's a lot of great things going on, but at the same time, it is important to realize kind of what's going on within the industry to help you all be able to navigate through some of the challenges that's to come. So the four challenges that we've really decided to focus in on for today is really challenges that limit e-commerce companies from growing. And we're really approaching, Chris and I, we're really approaching this from our perspective, when you can kind of break it out between where they come from on the technology side and then where we come in on the really comprehensive services side. And we've seen a lot of things, and our goal here is to really help shed light into some of the most common barriers that e-commerce brands face in order to really reach that next level of scale and growth. So the four areas that we're going to talk about are technology, consumer experience, time, and agility.
So I'm gonna jump in and talk about customer experience first, right? So I like to use this analogy, right? So the world of e-commerce really, data is like a puzzle, where each piece holds a value in insights. So you got a customer behavior, purchase history, logistic reviews, and more. When all the pieces are connected, you actually get a clear picture of your customer, and really enabling hyper-personalized omnichannel experiences that drive engagement and growth. However, for most brands, this puzzle is kind of scattered across multiple channels, multiple systems. Customer data often lives in silos. So payment details in one place, behavior data in another place, logistic data somewhere else, really leaving brands with incomplete, disjointed view of their customers. So even though all the pieces exist, they remain separated, making it nearly impossible to create a unified customer experience or customer profile. So to add to the complexity a little bit, right? Privacy regulations, platform restrictions limit how brands can share these integrated first-party data. It often feels like you're trying to solve the puzzle without all the pieces together, leaving critical gaps in understanding your customers. So this really results in some key challenges we see today, right? One, weak brand equity. Without a complete customer view, brands struggle to establish meaningful connections with their customers, which leads to low loyalty and high churn. Then we have ineffective marketing strategy execution. So fragmented data makes it difficult to coordinate efforts across different channels, resulting in missed opportunities from personalization to optimization. So as Sherlock Holmes once said, right, each person appears to be a puzzle that is difficult to grasp individually. But from a collective perspective, their behavior patterns begin to become discernible. So really at Shopline, we're designing a platform that brings all these puzzle pieces together, integrating e-commerce, marketing activation, and data insights into one single product. It gives merchants the tool to build a complete 360 view of their customers, enabling them to unlock the full potential of their data, increase customer lifetime journey or customer lifetime value, and lower acquisition costs. So now let's look at technology challenges that business encounter when attempt to address these customer experience issues with data. So first, you have really high integration costs and custom development needs. So as you try to attempt to solve the data issue with a CDP must be integrated with various subsystems like CRM, e-commerce platform, and social media. So without standard connectors, it can involve significant custom development work, increasing both cost and complexity. Then you have data that often comes from multiple sources and inconsistent formats. So the inconsistency across different sources can make it difficult to create a unified customer profile, which is essential for personalized customer engagement. Then we have the issue of performance bottleneck in handling high concurrency big data. So as CDP processes huge volume of customer data in real time, performance limitation, especially during peak hours, peak traffic, can cause slowdown or downtime, preventing real-time personalization. And finally, there's a data completeness issue. So to create a truly personalized experience, businesses need a comprehensive view of their customers. So if the data lacks dimensions such as behavioral, demographic information, the CDP's ability to deliver personalized recommendations and messaging is severely limited in this case. So
Sorry, I was on mute there.
no worries.
Shifting gears to some of the time challenges here. We'll start with task overload. Founders of e-commerce companies, they're used to wearing many hats, and unfortunately, as they grow, oftentimes they're tackling administrative or back office, middle office tasks that seem important at the time, but oftentimes take over their mind space and resources where they're not able to really focus on more value-added efforts in terms of product development, marketing strategies, and customer acquisition strategies. In a recent survey that was conducted, about 68% of small business owners report spending more than 10 hours a week on financial management and bookkeeping. And it's mind-boggling because that's not the reason why e-commerce founders go into this venture, is because they want to develop great products and sell to the customers that really need it. And that task overload becomes a very slippery slope where it doesn't allow them to focus on what they're best at. Secondly is manual processes that a lot of these e-commerce companies are facing when it comes to growth. Piggybacking off of kind of what Chris mentioned, what we've seen time and time again is just this constant plethora of different technology, different tools, different platforms that e-commerce companies are using. But when it's not properly integrated, you're dealing with a lot of manual processes, spreadsheets, Google Docs, trying to be a hack to connecting the dots, if you will. But what ends up happening is not only does that take up a significant amount more time to transfer data from one subset to the other, but many times there are human errors and you're getting the output final data that's incorrect, which ultimately doesn't provide any value. And again, it just takes up a lot of time. And then last but not least, it's just a limited resources. As an e-commerce founder, we meet a lot of them that are just realizing that they have a limited amount of time and resources, and every incremental minute that they can spend on things that truly add value to their business and growing it is just so much more important. So what we try to do from our side is really take a lot of the accounting and back office support work off of their plate and do it really well so that they can really free up their time and be able to dedicate the energy and time to grow their organization. And what, at the end of the day, you're also dealing with a lot of problems the first time ever. As an example, if an e-commerce company uses a brand new 3PL provider that has a fulfillment center in Illinois, not many people know that you have to actually sign up for a brand new seller's permit because you now have a physical location in the state of Illinois. And then if you're not collecting, submitting sales tax on time, you would actually be falling out of compliance within the Department of Revenue in the state of Illinois. So there are a lot of these first-time hurdles and traps, if you will, that are customary to this industry, but first-time founders and operators and entrepreneurs, they don't have the repetition and experience to be able to know how to tackle through that. So really just help finding the amount of resources and solutions to tackle that limited resources that you have is going to be instrumental to helping you tackle this time challenge in order to grow your organization. The last piece of the challenge that we want to highlight is the agility challenge. E-commerce is going through a tremendous amount of change, and it changes weekly, monthly, and the ability to be able to pivot quickly to changing consumer behaviors, supply chain problems, and economic fluctuations becomes paramount in order to tackle problems that you're facing, but also more importantly, take advantage of the opportunities that you're facing in front of you. The first thing that we want to talk about is slow decision making. Many times the founders don't have the accurate and reports in a timely fashion to even make the right decisions. So they're kind of stuck in the stalemate where their companies are either floundering or is not able to have the regular reports to make the decision timely to grow and tackle those problems they're facing. Secondly is the profitability. When you don't know how profitable your products are, you're really not able to address some of the problems that you may be facing kind of as the outcome. And understanding the true source of profitability and where the cost drivers are in your unit cost is paramount to understanding kind of where the source of the problem is coming from, so you know what to tackle. And then just lastly is cash flow. And cash flow management is very different than profitability. We've seen many organizations experience growing revenue and growing gross margins only to see their cash balances kind of falling away, and come Q3, they have a very limited amount of tools available to really build up the inventory appropriately for the holiday season, and they really missed out on a pretty heavy portion of their seasonally sales cycle. So we want to really make sure that owners and operators of e-commerce brands are aware of just how important understanding your profitability, your cash flow cycles are in order to continue growing and be successful in achieving what you're trying to do. Okay, so just shifting gears here, we kind of had a really good recap of what are some of the major challenges that we face. We help our customers face through as they look to grow. Now we'll kind of talk about some of the solutions that we've done collectively between Shopline and KeepingCount in terms of how to really address these problems. So we'll start with Chris on the streamlined technology and customer experience.
So to really streamline the customer experience, I think as your business continue to grow, a native CDP is somewhat a necessity, right? And how heavy the solution needs to be really varies on your business. So this is where Shopline's native CDP comes into play, right? As part of Shopline's all-in-one e-commerce platform, our built-in CDP helps merchant navigate the issues of storing, cleaning, and consolidating multi-channel data. It simplifies the process of gathering data from various touchpoints, like sales channels, marketplaces, ads, social platforms, and direct communications like emails and SMS. By leveraging our native CDP, businesses can consolidate data from all these channels into a unified profile, as I mentioned earlier, analyze and model the consumer behaviors, and use this insight to improve decision-making and personalization strategies. For instance, on the sales channel, we track page views, items added to cart, and complete orders. On the social side, we monitor engagement like comments, messages, and likes. So with this unified data, businesses can deliver better and more personalized customer experiences across every single channel. So let's look at one specific case study. So this is a real-world example. InDeStyle, a UK-based fashion brand. It heavily relies on influencer marketing, particularly on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. They need a platform that not only integrated seamlessly with social media and other channels, but also provide a powerful insights to drive more personalized consumer experiences, right? Customer engagement. By using Shopline's suite of customer engagement products, which is essentially a CDP-like solution. InDeStyle has already achieved impressive results. they've seen a 10% increase in conversion rate. Additionally, during their peak trading periods, they experienced 138% increase in revenue, which is terrific. And with our full CDP product launching this month, we expect the performance improvement to be even greater. The full CDP will offer deeper insights, more advanced data consolidation, and enhanced personalization capabilities. So really empowering brands like InTheStyle to take their customer engagement and business outcomes to the next level.
Thanks, Chris. Shifting gears to more of the solutions in place to get more time and agility. One of the key things that we've seen be successful is finding automation opportunities where possible. Again, there's a plethora of different tools out there, and automation doesn't just happen overnight. It really requires a team that is deeply experienced with not just the industry, but also understanding how those tools can and should be connected together so that the flow of data is done in a seamless way or an impactful way. We come across situations where there may be an e-commerce platform like Shopline, like Amazon and Loop, and there are different components of their overall product delivery, where when we connect them, not only are the errors significantly lower, but the time is absolutely gained with some form of automation that not just helps our team from the service side, but most importantly helps the actual operations and leadership team of the brand in order to get the data faster, more accurately, and allocate more time to focus on growth efforts that are honestly much more valuable in their view. Secondly, is when you're dealing with kind of gaining more agility and time, finding the right third-party resource to help navigate these services that are beyond the core competencies. Not every service provider is created equal, and finding that industry level expertise that is pertinent and relevant to your industry becomes hyper critical in terms of getting that right level of skill set and value that you need. So again, don't try to reinvent the wheel. We folks like us and other industry providers that focus on the outsourced HR component, outsourced payroll component. We've seen a lot of these repetitions, a lot of the problems that you're currently facing. So it's very helpful to reach out for help and understand that we've been through this before, and let us be a partner for you so that we can help you navigate these problems. And then lastly is be proactive. You should never expect to know the answer to everything, and a lot of times it's important to just raise your hand and realize that you're struggling with a problem, whether that be accounting or HR issues. And many times you'll realize that the solution is readily available and it can be properly implemented with the right team to tackle some of these problems that will provide you with more time and agility to take advantage of the opportunities in front of you. So a good case study that I like to kind of go over from Keeping Count has to do with a popular swimwear brand who just really did not have any clarity into their financials. And by giving them that clarity and that level of in-depth data point, they were able to grow not only their top line, but to have a better management of their cash flow so that they could be ready for this upcoming holiday season. The problem that we were seeing was there were two co-founders that came to us with outdated books, to the tune of 6 months being outdated. And because there was not a timely set of financials, they were in the dark about cash management, and even while their sales and gross profit were increasing, they were struggling with their cash management. What our team did was, after going through a very thorough rescoping of the scope, in terms of what we tackled, we took over their weekly accounting functions, including handling invoicing to their wholesale customers, also taking care of their payroll processing and their accounts payable processing. And then we modernized the accounting system, where we did connect their e-commerce platform to the different channels that they had, including Amazon, Loop, and all the payment processing system they had as well. It really made their efficient process that much better. Secondly, we caught up their books finally that were 6 months overdue, and began producing monthly accrual financials that gave them monthly insights into their unit cost, into their accurate gross margin. And what was interesting enough from the findings was that we actually exposed that there was an increasing fulfillment cost, shipment costs, and rising returns that was really the contributor of their cash flow struggles that they were having. Because of these findings that we had and the reporting that they were able to get, the ownership team of the swimwear brand implemented a much more strict refund policy for swimwear brand, and then they implemented a credit system whereby it actually helped them on the cash flow management situation for the time, while still really retaining a great personalized experience for the customers who really want to make sure they have the right swimwear, the right sizes, and had instantaneous feedback from the brand. So again, I think it's important to overall, find the right people, automate where possible, and really be proactive to look for solutions that are that can help resolve some of the problems that you're facing. So we'll kind of just wrap things up a little bit about sharing a little bit more about Shopline and Keeping Count in terms of how we've helped folks within the e-commerce and consumer brands industry. And then lastly, we'll wrap it up with some Q&A. So I'll let Chris kind of kick it off to dive in a little bit more about Shopline. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Son. So why Shopline, right? There's so many options out there, right? So Shopline is more than just an e-commerce platform. So as I mentioned earlier, it's equipped with a native CDP that helps merchants overcome the challenges of data fragmentation. A couple of things that stands out, right? So product innovation. Shopline offers native solution to streamline multi-channel data consolidation, really eliminating the need for third-party tools. And we also have out-of-the-box functionalities that minimize resilience on third-party apps, right? Ensuring a smoother operations and faster results. Omnichannel capabilities, right? So really Shopline CDP unifies the customer journey, giving brands visibility and control over every user touch point, from sales channels to social media. And we're the #1 Meta global partner. So Shopline is the first e-commerce platform that adopt Meta's comprehensive CAPI integration, conversion API integration, enhancing machine learning, personalization, and driving much higher conversions versus our competition. Thank you.
Okay, and more about Keeping Count. So what we do at Keeping Count is we want to be that trusted partner for e-commerce brands and ultimately eliminate your headaches, be that industry expert by your side, and help you all understand the numbers and have some foresight into what's coming from a metrics perspective. A lot of our services are really kind of captured in that first column. I don't want to go through all of it there, but I think the point here is that we really are an extension, or we can be your full accounting team that can really be relied upon to manage a lot of the weekly activities that happen with regards to invoicing, payroll, bill pay management, all the way to closing your financials and generating financial statements to you all that provides great accurate insights into your key metrics that helps you understand from a numbers perspective how your company is doing. And then secondly, we are industry experts in this space. We've worked with a number of apparel companies, cosmetics, health and nutrition, electronics and wholesale. And the reason why that's important is because even though it's accounting and finance, there's a lot of nuances to these industries that becomes really important to understand the drivers of what can cause success and failure in this industry, such as factoring and different types of inventory reconciliation problems deal with. So if you're interested, please, by all means, we'll have the contact information here in the last page, and feel free to book a discovery call with us. We go through a very thorough level of initial evaluation and assessment to really make sure that we're the right solution for you, but more importantly, we understand the problems you're facing and that we have the right solution, both from a service perspective and a technology perspective, to help solve these problems and put you on a path towards growth and success, and ultimately give you that peace of mind and better visibility into the health of your company.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. That was a lot of great information. I'm sure everyone who's stuck around on the call is very thankful to have these experts and your advice on how to effectively run an e-commerce business. So we will open up the floor to Q&A. I do have a couple of questions that have come in. So the first one is for Chris. How would you compare Shopline to other commerce platforms on the market?
So I think this is a very commonly asked question, right? Got this asked this question a couple of times. How are you different from companies like Shopify, right? So unlike Shopify, which really depends on third-party apps for executing critical marketing functions, such as Klaviyo for your email marketing, Smile IO for membership, Yappo for reviews, and etc. Right? So Shopline offers these capabilities natively through our suite of products, right? And including a brand new CDP that's coming out this month. So this allows for seamless integration of data, better customer engagement, as I mentioned earlier, and more streamlined operations. Additionally, I mean, our competitions or our competitor like Shopify does not have access to cookie data for first-party server, which limits their ability to retarget customer effectively, right? So, for example, cookie data and store visitor purchase activity, we store them up to 6 months without requiring login information. And we can later resolve that identity with any sort of purchasing data afterward. And through our Shopline's native CDP, we can leverage that data to retarget customers and send out a much more personalized EDM campaigns and messages, either through email or SMS, or without the need for third-party apps. And this also bypass some of the rules and regulations around transmitting third-party data, given everything we own are technically first-party. So this building functionality gives Shopline a distinct advantage, enabling merchants to deliver more personalized data-driven customer experiences directly through the platform itself. And by leveraging Shopline's building CDP, merchant can improve customer experience, streamline operations, and set themselves up for long-term success in increasing in this very competitive market today.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah,
Great
that
question,
makes a lot of sense. The next one is for Song. What is the typical process for transitioning accounting from doing it yourself in-house to working with KeepingCount? And what is that process like?
Yeah, it's a good question. It really varies, but what we typically set the expectations is that the implementation onboarding process will range between 1 month and 2 months, really depending on the complexity and the different types of systems and the level of personnel that the company currently has. We go through a very thorough initial evaluation process because we know accounting and making payroll, making sure your employees are paid, your suppliers are paid, is a very critical function to your company, and you don't want that to fall through the cracks, and neither do we. So we really make sure that we understand the process flows, understand the critical services and functions that need to happen on a weekly basis. But more importantly, really understanding what technology tools are already in place, but maybe needs to be better integrated into the overall platform, or evaluating what additional tools can be done to help automate, digitalize, and be better documenters of the process flows that the company currently uses. So we do spend a lot of time being technology focused and really using that as a resource to help not just the leadership team of the brand operate better, but allow us all to kind of communicate better going forward. So it typically takes 1 to 2 months, but we always try to kind of go through that process very thoughtfully.
Perfect. Thank you. I am not seeing other questions in the chat yet. I am going to launch one last poll. If you're interested in any of the following, so talking more about e-commerce business automation, accounting services, or optimizing your financial software and systems, please let us know, and that way our speakers will be able to reach out with some relevant information. And I'd also like to put on the screen our contacts. So if you are interested in booking a call, like Song mentioned, with our team, You can email Destiny. She's our sales account executive, or feel free to visit our website and click that button to book a call. For Shopline, you can visit their website. You can go ahead and sign up. Or if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to Chris. And Albert is another contact that you can reach out to. I want to thank our speakers. Thank you, Song. Thank you, Chris. This was a really great session, and I hope that everyone, enjoyed it who was able to attend today.
Thank you, Maria.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.